eating with flavor. Raíces and culture you will never forget. With Carmela by your side, siempre aprenderás. Más con Carmela, forward and nothing less. Más con Carmela, azúcar.
Hola everybody, and welcome to Más con Carmela. Very, very happy to be with you today. And on behalf of Arizona Barrio Stories and Latino USA TV, we welcome you onto the set to talk to our community a little bit more, find out who's doing what out there, especially in the arts. The arts are special for me, so anything that is related to it, more than likely I'm going to be talking about it. Today we have a very special guest with us that I met several years ago, an extremely talented person even though she doesn't think she is. Her name is Olga Aros, and I met her when we were producing Dia de los Niños for the city of Phoenix, and I had the opportunity to meet you then, and it's just been incredible. I'm amazed at your tenacity and how much you are able to get done with a little bit of help from the community. Today, you have so many different areas that you cover, Olga, but today I want to talk about Dia de los Niños because I got to know you during that time. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, who you are, and then how you wound up being involved with Dia de los Niños.
I'm from Tolleson, Arizona. I've always been focused on children since I was a child.
Really?
Yes, and so children have always had a very special place in my life. In this case, in terms of El Día de los Niños, I was working for the McDonald's Corporation.
Oh, that's right.
So I had access to the Ronald McDonald House, very involved with children. So the focus was children at the time. Mm-hmm. And I happened to be in Texas, in San Antonio, Texas, at a Latino youth conference. And I was probably one of the very few corporate representatives there. And I got asked about why corporate America did not support children, because they were having such a difficult time finding funding. And it was the Corporate Fund for Children that was hosting the event, a lady named Becky Barrera, who raised the issue, and the question was focused on me. I was just a participant. But it was an interesting question because they were right. Corporate America was not focused on children. And McDonald's, of all companies, should have been focused on children, etc. And at the time, it was strictly a youth conference that represented 22 states. And there was about 75 Latino youth and about 900 adults at that particular conference. And it was then that I said to them, you're going to have to get out of Texas. I can't fund you unless you're a national organization. Right. And so at that conference, they switched their name to National Latino Children's Institute.
Okay.
And then I said, and you must come up with a project that can go nationwide, that affects children, specifically Latino children. And I'm not sure what kind of an event it would be, but I'm sure you're creative enough to come up with it. And Becky Barrera came up with, well, we're going to do a national event, Olga. And we don't know how we're going to do it because we have no money to do it. So the McDonald's Corporation gave me 3 years of funding to launch El Día de los Niños in the United States. We had to be really sensitive to the gender because in Mexico, it is celebrated in Mexico, El Día del Niño.
Right.
But because it is a very gender-sensitive name, we called it El Día de los Niños, celebrating young Americans, to differentiate it from the one celebrated in Mexico to the one that was going to be celebrated in the United States. But we had to hear from the community as to whether or not they really wanted something like that. We did a youth conference in California, Los Angeles, and we would ask students to come up to the podium and tell us what El Día de los Niños would mean to them.
Okay.
And one young man who was about 12 years old came to the podium and said to me, well, Every morning I get up to go to school, and I have to cross the neighborhood. And the neighborhood has 3 or 4 gangs that I have to avoid all the way to school by the time I get there. And I have a hard time getting my education. And I want to tell you though, if you are lucky enough to make El Día de los Niños in the United States, on that day, right now I think I'm nobody, but on that day, I'm going to be somebody.
Oh.
It broke our hearts, all of us, and we said we are going to launch El Día de los Niños in the United States. We're going to start by declaring it, but we're going to have the U.S. Senate declare it. So the next step was a political step, is to go to the U.S. Senate, sell the idea to the U.S. Senate, and have them declare the resolution to be April 30th, El Día de los Niños, and celebrating young Americans. That is what made it national. From that resolution, we then went from community to community, and we launched 130 cities the first year.
My goodness.
And we had no money to launch 130 cities, but McDonald's gave us 3 years of funding to do that. Mm-hmm. And it began always, every single site began with a parade, a children's parade. The children were the parade, not anything else. And they came, the children would come, and they would take the resolution to the city, they would have the city sign it, and that would start the event. Right. And it went through about 130 cities for an entire year. That's what we did.
That's amazing.
Some of the biggest cities that were launched were Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, Las Vegas. They were the ones that began the whole event, and they had huge events for children. And on that day, these young Latinos who thought they were nobody,
or somebody,
they became somebody.
Oh, that's so awesome, Olga. You know, we still have the festival, but I think in smaller increments here in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Is anyone producing it now or approaching?
Well, the National Latino Children's Institute became the steward organization for those events. Mm-hmm. But it got affected drastically during the COVID-19 and the epidemic. We had to not encourage any of the events because we were afraid for the families and we were afraid for the children. Mm-hmm. So we cut back significantly, and then the whole atmosphere changed in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, and those that were supporting it, because now diversity was not important any longer. Oh. And that is the issue that we deal with today.
Still today, yeah.
Because it cuts back funding, it puts people focused in other areas, and so it's been very difficult to find the funding that is necessary to keep El Día de los Niños alive. And yes, we have a lot of events. Chicago probably has one of the largest. It's got 10,000 children. Oh my. Yeah, El Paso probably is next at about 10,000 children. Los Angeles is at about 15,000 children. So they range anywhere from thousands of children to as many as only 300 children or 500 children, because it's done by small groups. Right. For example, my little town of Tolleson in the west side has El Día de los Niños. And every March they celebrate it. Mm-hmm. And anyone can participate, any group, a Girl Scout group, a boys group, can declare April 30th as their Día de los Niños. And they decide how they're going to celebrate it. Okay. Even nice. Families, we've had families that have said, we're going to declare it. And they start it, and before you know it, the whole park is filled with children. Yeah. So it's flexible. There are some principles that apply to El Día de los Niños. First of all, it must be free to children. Right. Right. And it must have certain principles. It must have it must be focused on family. It must be focused on children. There must be a learning element to it of one kind or another. And we send out those principles whenever we get someone who is interested. We send it out to them because this is what it means. We also send out a copy of the U.S. Senate resolution so that they know
Right.
for 30 years we were at the U.S. Senate getting the political people to declare the day. It has not been an easy thing to do.
No, and it's not with government. There's so many things that are going on. Where do you see its future going? I mean, is this something that we want to take into the schools, or is it strictly community? Or?
There are many schools that do it now.
Okay.
For example, the El Día de los Niños in Chicago, it's a partnership between the schools and the city of Chicago.
Good. Okay.
So that is how it gets done there. And there is the American Library Association, where libraries are very much involved, and they call it a literacy project. The National Latino Children's Institute has also created programs that can be used in the communities. They have a program called Chispas,
Right.
which has to do with the fire safety. A program called El Corazón de mi Vida, which is button your safety belts, your seat belts. There is the Salsa Sabor en Salud, which is nutrition and appropriate cooking for your children.
I love it.
So there's different elements that can be used by the community to teach children and families how to lead a good lifestyle.
Yeah. It's such an important program, Olga. I mean, I think our kids are the most precious commodity that we have, and it's our responsibility to educate and take care of these kids. What you've done with this programming from the beginning, though, is pretty amazing. And I know you're not done. So we want to make sure that you know that you have our support, and let's keep talking about this and see if we can get it to be a big, humongous festival here in Phoenix again. I would love to do that. And I really wish you luck with this program. Keep us informed on how it's going, and maybe we can come back and talk about it again.
Well, if you take a look at the statistics for children, for Latino children in schools, and you take a look, say New Mexico, 65% of these children in schools are Latino.
Latinos, yeah.
If you take a look at Texas, 45% are. These are all projections of what the future is going to look like. And it's important that we acknowledge it and do something with it.
Right. Well, that's what we're here to do, to spread the word a little bit more about Dia de los Niños. Keep on top of it in your community and talk to your representatives to make sure that we're supporting, children, and in the best way possible. There's so many different ways to do it, but you are a mover and shaker, and I can just see you doing this again, or I should say over and over, not again. Because you're a tremendous force in our community, Olga. We love you and we support you and we celebrate you. So,
thank you for inviting me and allowing me to share El Día de los Niños.
Oh, yeah. I don't think a lot of people understood the history of how it formatted, so.
It came from the kids.
Yeah, and it came from you too. You had a huge part to do in this. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today, and thank you, Olga, for being here. On behalf of Arizona Barrio Stories and Latino USA TV, this is Mas con Carmela show, and we thank you for viewing, and in the words of Celia Cruz, azúcar.
Azúcar.